So the Vice President in his going across Region 6 has stopped in Hampshire Berbice and is meeting residents. Again, as Vice President, he also holds the portfolio of General Secretary of the BVP.
Here it's easier though because the water mains are off the road. So you're going to have a major he had his ball, so I got to walk with the sun born here, the ball head, yes. So that's why I wanted to drop in, because I was here for 2 days now. We managed to get 3,000, mainly young people employed. They work for 40,000 a month, 10 days and stuff. I had hoped more people from this area apply, but we'll see. Y'all know. Let me tell you, Amal, how come did we plan no day? All right. If everybody all at the same time come out again. So we're hired at the yesterday at the Teen campus is nearly 1,000 people at jobs. And then I'm going to Kanchi now, some more there, maybe 300 this afternoon there. And at the upper end we had over 1,000. Right? That is by the Skeleton area, because you know they closed down their estate there. So we're trying to get temporary employment for people until we can get the bigger jobs coming. We're shifting the packaging plant from Enmore here to Albion, and we're going to expand cultivation and stuff. We're reopening Rose Hall. We've already hired about 600 of the 900 who were laid off. We've done that. So we're trying to get the jobs going. But the key thing when we came out last time was roads. Everywhere people talk about roads. So we said to the Ministry of Public Works, you're packing up here in Region 4, you're going to Berbice. They've identified 300 roads to be done before the end of the year. That's a lot. And then next year, another 300 across the region. So they made focus first on the main roads going in. And then we'll come back and do the crossroads. So Minister Indar will be here. Edge Hill will come around. You all make sure that when Edge Hill and Indar come, that you all meet with them, talk to them, show them the most important roads right at the beginning, because we will do those this year, and then next year we can do the others. Okay. And you all show them around so that we can get this going. Okay? But I wanted to tell you that stop in, because for 2 years, well, a year and a half, we couldn't come out much because of the COVID. And only now we can start going out back, but we've been busy working, trying to fix things. Okay? And so that's why I apologize that it's so rushed. Only last night I tell them I want to stop in at Hampshire too, right? And then they put and they inform people. So don't blame them for putting this together. Yes. So listen.
The neglect Belvedere and Belvedere, Hampshire, League, and we don't get nothing from government, nothing from here about them.
Comrade, don't talk nonsense about government neglecting the area. You know when Chetty Jagan took over, what we started off with? We started off with debt, not enough money to pay debts. You started off with not enough money to pay debts. We didn't have hospitals, we didn't have schools. You had 2 weeks blackout at the time. In Georgetown, I know when I come back in 1990, you couldn't drive around Georgetown potholes. That is what we started off with. Yeah, but that's what I mean. The streets were made, they're broken back. A lot of the streets were broken back up.
It was made, but what standard of Pppc?
Yeah, exactly.
Chip seal is not a standard.
But chip seal,
we have to get the bitumen tarmac.
You know you run a family, right? Just imagine you run a family. And when you got your house broken down, and your salary can't even pay for food, that is how we started as a country. So what happened is that the little money we had to spread it around the country.
No, I will not do that. You're telling me that if your house broke down and you look at the little thing, you go for the minimal cost, but it's not so. I was the chairman for that Hampshire first, when it was under CIMAP. And I can tell you that road, 3 intersections and 1 main across. It cost close to $29 million. And that were the chip seal and the seat condition now.
Yes, but the thing is...
$29 million at that time could have made a tarmac with
thing
bitumen.
is that this is a loan. Let me tell you something. Each of these things go out to tender. Government can't go and say, I like you, I'm going to give you the work. We publicly tender. But if you don't have, you all understand, it's like you don't have resources. You know how far this country has come? From where the days when we were bankrupt. Today, now we can afford better quality roads. So that is why we've moved away. It's from chip seal to asphalted concrete and to concrete roads. Now we have moved away from chip seal. But in the early period, everybody wanted their dams fixed. You only had dams, so you had to get it up to some level. I was Minister of Finance. We couldn't find money at the end of the month to pay wages and salaries in the public sector. You remember those days? A lot of people don't remember the early days.
You were telling us that we can't find money and we are an island nation, the second largest island nation in the world, sir.
But this is a thing, comrade, don't you read?
I read,
how much money have we spent from oil and gas resources as of now, today?
I don't know.
You don't know. You don't know.
You all said
you
that
don't know.
not,
there is zero. We have spent zero.
You all said that you are not taking nothing from the contingency and from the island, the resources.
From what?
You all said. I saw you when you were at Vermont, when they posed a question to you about
yes,
NIS.
So tell
and
me
he
what
asked you. You said contingency. We thought
contingency?
He's coming from this cloud. The guy asked you to take the money from the fund.
Comrade, let me tell you something. There's a natural resources fund. Every cent that we collected so far has been deposited in that fund. So in the 2 years since we started producing oil and gas, we collected about $700 million. $700 million. This is the first year in the budget that we have brought money from the fund into the budget. Only 2 weeks ago, the first set was transferred. It has not even been spent as yet. Now, if you look at 700, the bridge alone across, this year we're widening the main road. We put $8 billion there for widening the main road. When we move the utilities, we got to spend another $100 million to pave from Molson Creek to New Amsterdam. That's $100 and something million alone. One project. You think that's a lot of money? And look at the scale of the budget. It's a fraction of the budget. In the outer years, that's what we keep explaining. By 2025, 2026 or so, that's when the oil revenue ramps up. So APNU wants us, they said, give every person $1 million. The people love to hear that. $1 million for free. 5,000 US, we got 800,000 of us. 5,000 multiplied by 800,000 is $4 billion US dollars. We only collecting $350 million a year, but we must share out 12 times more than what we collect. 12 times more. This is what people think. You're wealthy. Another, you listen to Glenn Lyle, he said we must stop working. We're so rich now. The United States of America, with a per capita GDP of $72,000, we at $9,000, they work three jobs, and we must stop working. People got to understand if things are going to be improved, but it takes time to get there. The money is not flush. Look at the APNU borrowing policy. They borrowed in the 5 years nearly $100 billion from we had to clear that off. The first year, we had to issue bonds to clear that off in the 5 years. Immediately. So that is what you got to understand the numbers too. Yes, it's coming.
You talked about the main road, you spend so much money to widen the main road. But our concern as residents, and approximately each village carry about 3,000 to 4,000 residents living in it. We've been living under this condition for a while, and my concern is that instead widen that main road, why not look in the concern of residents in each village and fix that road?
Comrade, we put $8 billion on the road, the main road, because people have to use the highways to expand business. You gotta, right? But that's why we assigned $4 billion for community roads. I just started off by telling you this is the highest ever allocation in our history and the most than any other region. Check the budget for Region 6. So the thing is that suddenly we have some bright sparks on this thing. APNU on the capital side in 5 years spent less than what we spent in 2014. I was just talking to the farmers there. In 1 year alone, we allocated more for farm to market roads and BNI than they have spent in 5 years. In 5 years. People muzzled at that time. They laid off like sugar workers. 7,000 laid off, not a single strike from GAU. We came in, we paid 5%, we paid another 7%, we're hiring back workers. Everyday strike. Muzzle, quiet under APNU, but not suddenly they find voices now. The mere fact I'm here today is because I'm concerned. That is why I come here. I didn't have this under my plan. And to talk to you, to tell you that this is what we're addressing. And that's what I'm here to say. We've come because we are addressing the roads and we have a plan to do that. Have you seen anyone else come here in the last 5 years and talk to you all like this? Right, exactly. Because this was not on my plan. Last night I said I want to drop in a tangent.
That's why we as citizens in this country, we expect that this administration going to raise the bar. That if it was like 10%, I'm just saying, and you set it at 15%.
And it's 90% now. Right. That is what we're doing,
so now, whosoever get into office again gonna know the standard that you set.
And that's why we are setting a high standard, yeah.
Gonna continue raise.
Right.
Let's just
no. But bar, don't talk about bar, because we set the bar and they tried to rig the elections. We set the bar and they tried to rig the elections. The thing is that what are you telling me about setting the bar? It's either you care about people or you don't care about them. Right. It's either you care about their concern or you don't care. But you got to understand too that everything costs money. Everything costs money. We can splurge on 1 year and then become bankrupt for the rest of our period. Do you know we still run a fiscal deficit? Do you know we still run a fiscal deficit? Yeah, I'm asking you. Do you know we run a fiscal deficit?
We always run a deficit because you know.
All right. So
regime,
yes.
Our great children hold that, and it's the same now. I don't know how that is possible.
It's impossible to talk when you. All right. So
this is a new generation coming up now, sir. The older folks, they didn't see that they expect from previous administration what happened.
No. But if you run a fiscal deficit, what follows next?
You see me left primary school becoming a walker. But that is why I can't. Yes, no. But the thing is that is what I'm saying. When the last government in the 90s, many of us today, we see where we are now, and we don't know how hard it was to get back, come out of the hole. But when they borrowed so much money that our debt was 9 times the size of our economy. And to service the debt took 153% of revenue. That is because they borrow and spend for a long period. How do you think we are here today? We had to pay, you, me, everybody had to pay back to get back to today, where we are our debt is 16% of the size of the economy from 900%, and we're using 6% of revenue. We had a long period of working and missed opportunities, because we ended up paying back billions of dollars that were borrowed and spent unsustainably. So when you go forward now, you have to ensure that we don't take the next generation back into that situation, the children of this country. Because if we borrow, and we can borrow and spend and build everything immediately, but we're phasing it. First of all, this year, for example, we're doing some hospitals across the country, 6 new hospitals across the country that will cost us $180 million. The 6 hospitals alone. That's more than half of the oil money, the 6 hospitals. The other hospital is $175 million, a children and maternal hospital. So when we get
any trouble with kids or women, we can take them there. That's at Ogle. So that's for the whole country. That's at 175. The 2 projects alone is equivalent to all the oil money we collect. But we got to do that because we need a better quality health care for our people across the country. So it's not a whole lot of money, and you got to now move it around to make sure that we don't run back into debt so we won't burden our children. But at the same time, we fix people's concerns. That's why we set aside $4 billion here, the highest ever for community roads in the region. We came here, we said we'll do 300 this year, 300 next year. So every road can be done now to asphaltic concrete level or concrete. So that is the thinking. We got to go through the thinking, and maybe we need to come out more and talk to our people about the concern, the trouble we have too in trying to manage a country.
And who we have to go to for this.
I saw in the news that
the program
so many
have for temporary jobs for young people.
Okay, so now if you all still want to apply, we have some openings. So we make sure that someone comes in here with the application form. Okay? All right, okay. So I'm going to send someone in with the forms and make sure you all fill out the forms. Tomorrow, Zamal come back here with the forms. Okay?
Yeah, tomorrow in the afternoon.
This is 10 days a month. And you get 40,000. So all right.
So
Let me hear this comment.
many items you wrote down VAT. But only the word VAT laid down, the price will remain the same.
Yes, I agree.
That
So
before the war.
We reduced the VAT, but the price remained the same. But in fact, the price gone up. Let me tell you what happened. So, take for example, let me go through some commodities. Cooking oil. Cooking oil now, Malaysia, Indonesia, that used to supply most of the cooking oil in the world, because of the pandemic, they shut down their factories, they banned the export. So suddenly you have a global shortage, the price gone up. Wheat, Ukraine and Russia produce about 1/3 of the world's supply of wheat. You can't ship it anymore, price gone up. Fuel moved from $28 a barrel, crude oil, in 2015. Now the war, it's $120 a barrel now. Prices gone up. Fertilizer prices gone up. Everything gone up too. So right across, look at Biden, President Biden. 2 weeks ago, they ran out of baby food in the U.S. He had to get the army to fly in food from Europe and other parts of the world. So a lot of the factories, because of COVID, were shut down. So we remove all the taxes we promised on food items. As soon as we got back, on pesticides, on fertilizer, on machinery equipment, on water, on electricity that APNU had put there. We remove all. But in spite of that, because we didn't anticipate the pandemic, when we come in, we had to deal with the COVID. And that caused, up to now, we're suffering from that. Electricity is another big issue. So we said the price of electricity is too high. We don't even have enough power to supply the country because the cogen facility was shut down at Skeldon and they killed the hydro and didn't put in any new generating capacity. How are we going to fix that? We're working, so by 2024, we bring in the gas, we generate the power because we don't have to import oil anymore. And we said by 2024, the electricity bill cut by 50%. So people pay 50% less. You have enough power to do all the street lights. So when people come and ask me for street lights now, I say, hold on. We are struggling to put lights in the homes. Wait a couple of years when we have the power generated by gas, then we can put lights in every street in the country. Because you got to plan for it.
The business people exploit the poor people, they're getting richer. And
some of them don't, from the time we take off the tax,
thing go down,
look at the fuel. The fuel had a 50% tax when we got in. Now it's zero.
The business people cause our problem.
All right, let me talk to those who haven't spoken.
I'm 63 years old. I give me pension for 60.
Me getting help from the one husband dead, my son dead. This drain now we need to clean. Them drain not clean. Even they ask, we have flood. Me no get no flood relief money. Me get an assistance from no.
Yeah, well, let me talk. Then don't even talk about the flood, comrade. Don't even talk about the flood. It's $7 billion of assistance we give. A good 10% of the people who never lose anything put down their names. And some people who got it, but who to be blamed, comrade? Right back. Yes, yes.
So the Vice President is in Hampshire Berbice and talking to residents about their issues.
Let me, anybody.
Right, I need to look into the
All right, okay. Come, yeah. I will Zulfi.
Yeah, he was here, right?
Yeah, Zulfi.
I spoke.
All right, let me hear this.
When he came in,
All right, comrade. Hold on. Listening to the lady.
I was cooking, so after seeing as I saw police come, he stopped and I go in and I bail in the water from inside and show. He said, okay man, I've seen some disinfectant and whatever. You don't get flood. You see when the flood leaves comes, sir, some houses get 3 bags. Some get 2.
Yeah.
Me and frightened, I could tell them because I'm fighting them.
Well, here now. Who you think? Right, yes. But the thing is that we pay people to verify that. We hire people. We got a government machinery. Many of the people who ripped off the system are party people too. They're from both sides. They vote PPP, but they rip off the system too. You think, how am I? 70,000 people got help. How would we know which person in their yard in Hampshire? How would Zulfikar know or I know whether they lose or not if they put down their name? And they insist that they put down their name.
It depends on the strength at the bottom to do their work. And if they can't, if they're inefficient and they're not functioning, I think they should be removed.
Yeah, but when you put another set, we try that. And the other set do the same thing.
One thing, honesty is the best policy.
I agree with you.
You're paid for a job.
All right, Joe, let me hear this one.
Honesty is the best policy, just that honesty in there wrong here. All right. So the Vice President is talking to, as the Vice President and the General Secretary for the PPP is dealing with the people's issues in Hampshire, and people got a lot of different concerns and addressing. People got the issues with cost of living and a number of other issues. We're heading on to different locations. Stay on the Guyanese Critic Live. You don't know what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. You don't know what they're going to say, right? And how the Vice President or government officials will respond, because this is openness and transparency, and somebody can get blasted